Now, remember the pandemic? Who doesn't? The mask, the hand sanitizer, the shortage of toilet paper, the world shut down in 2020 after the surge of COVID-19. And what did you do to buy time when schools, businesses, restaurants, gyms, just about everything was shut down?
Just wait quietly.
Well, we all tuned to TV and other indoor activities, watching Netflix and anything else that would keep us busy and help us take our minds off the fact we couldn't go anywhere. The New York Times recently compiled a list of pop culture moments that got us through it. And we thought it'd be fun to break down our top 5 pandemic pop culture moments.
Let's go. We worked on this list yesterday as a group. I think it's pretty good, but if you hate it, just keep that to yourself.
All right. Coming in at number 5, The White Lotus was the Fantasy Island update we desperately needed. The first season was filmed at a Hawaiian resort, which creators got around COVID-related restrictions by keeping everyone together at one place. Each series takes place around a luxury resort named the White Lotus and follows the trials and tribulations of the most unhappy patrons and staff. It pits customers against workers and rich against poor, and it was a huge hit. White Lotus wasn't the only breakout television phenomenon during the pandemic. Netflix also released its Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, and the dystopian thriller series Squid Game.
So the reason we picked White Lotus over some of those other ones was mostly just because the way it basically existed because of the pandemic. My understanding was
written
like
for that purpose.
Yeah, like some of the others, they came out at the start of the pandemic, but they and they were super popular because so many people watched them and stuff. But the White Lotus, the idea for it was kind of birthed out of necessity of production.
How can I get around COVID protocols? Well, if I isolate everybody.
And it's become one of the most popular shows on TV right now.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but
what is that on?
It's on HBO.
HBO.
I know, I haven't seen it either. I need to watch it.
Right.
But all those are great, but White Lotus kind of just, being made in there and coming out during the pandemic.
But I hadn't seen anything like that whole Michael Jordan thing, Last Dance.
Yeah.
Hadn't felt a cultural phenomenon like that where everybody talked about it.
And that's why we include it too and stuff. But the thing about it is it would have come out either way. It's kind of what we ended up deciding.
But I don't know it would have been as popular.
Right.
Because it's all people had to look forward to.
But so I hope everyone's not too mad they picked White Lotus, but I thought that, it kind of made sense.
Next we got number 4, Taylor Swift's album Folklore. Back in July of 2020, movie theaters were still closed, concert venues hadn't reopened, and indoor gatherings were rare if they happened at all. That's when Taylor Swift's Folklore dropped, the first of 3 original albums released by Swift between 2020 and 2023. Swift's vocals for Folklore were recorded in her bedroom, and the whole album had a stripped-down at-home feel that is iconic to how a lot of media was being produced at the time, too. We're still doing it that way.
Right. And this kind of, this is another thing, that was kind of birthed at the start of the pandemic, writing all that during it while you're shut in and stuff. And then she kind of went on to, do a ton of work between then and now that...
She's prolific.
Yes, and then through that, her, when she finally went on tour again for, Eras, it just became this, crazy huge tour and a lot of that, I think, maybe just due to, how much, she was already massively popular, one of the biggest pop stars in the world, and then just her kind of popularity through the pandemic is still paying dividends for her.
I read somewhere, Bridget, on that Eras tour, she's added some breakup song in there because her and her dude.
I think the rumor is that she took out a song she had written about him, a love song, and replaced it with
a breakup song.
One of her breakup songs.
Ooh.
Yeah. She's also, I've heard from this tour, she's doing huge set lists. I can't remember the time on it, but 3 or 4 hour set lists and stuff for this tour. I thought I'd heard.
That's a lot of young girls screaming.
She's got a lot of songs. If she's going to get through even a fraction of them, that's...
Yeah. Like bread making, Y2K fashion, and knitting, another retro thing returned during the age of the coronavirus. Celebrity power couple, Bennifer. Coming in at number 3 on our list, 2004's It couple, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, reunited after a singer broke off her engagement to Alex Rodriguez. What started out as a rumored rekindled romance quickly turned into marriage, with J-Lo and Ben tying the knot July 16th, 2022. This also spawned an iconic episode of our show. in which I was forced to appear nude for the entire program. There I am handing my underwear to Hayley.
The greatest thing to come out of the Bennifer romance was the Lee's Big Nude Show, which was like a highlight for me. That was so fun to put together.
Now, by the way, those panties were planted, by the way. I mean, I gave her my real underwear, but that was it was a
You're
gag.
wearing both of them?
Yes, I wore both of them. I thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
But you took it out of context and put it in that video.
But even though you put them on, though.
I did put them on.
Because you could have.
put them on
Hold on. You were inside of that tent. You could have easily put them. There was even a pocket on the wall of that tent. You could have put them in there.
Could have, but I didn't.
Anyway, good for you.
Yeah. Getting to the top of the list now, we couldn't have done the pandemic without the social media phenomenon TikTok. That's why it comes in at number 2 on our top 5. During the pandemic, it became the go-to for teenagers who were spending their youth confined at home and just wanted to dance together and be together. The social media app, comprised of short videos created for and by its users, they make you laugh, cry, are entertaining, informative. It becomes such a hit with people of any literally age group and a favorite of ours here on the Lee and Hayley Show.
Yeah, it existed.
It spawned Talk Block.
It existed before the pandemic, but like I used to just kind of vaguely know about it by like my younger cousins using it and stuff. But like now it's just it's almost the new Facebook. It feels like not really, but
and it's changing. It's like I think YouTube's coming out with verticals, and that's just what that's about. Trying to copy TikTok. Now it's time for the #1 pandemic pop culture phenomenon. Here we go. Just 9 days after the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 a pandemic, Tiger King premiered on streaming giant Netflix. The infamous Netflix documentary about zookeeper Joe Exotic and big cat conservationist Carol Baskin was watched by over 34 million people in its first 10 days. People couldn't get enough of it. It ended bad for Exotic, though, who is currently serving 21 years for the attempted murder plot of Baskin. He was also found guilty of killing tigers to make room for more big cats at his Exotic Animal Park in Oklahoma. Multiple movie scripts adapting the story were being penned within days of the documentary's release.
Costumes for like Halloween, movies, like other series about it, a second season of that. Like this is all anyone talked about for after it came out. It was so huge.
So Tiger King may be #1 to most, but for us, the best thing to happen in pop culture was our show. The coronavirus lockdown began less than a month after we launched the Lee and Hayley Show. Imagine starting an entertainment show full of guests and interviews, and all of a sudden, you can't be around people. Ultimately, it pushed us to come up with creative solutions, making the show what it is today. But we want to show you the episode where everything changed. We were in Nashville, Tennessee to do a live show for the SEC tournament, but before we went live, it was announced the tournament would be canceled. So we're in Nashville's Tin Roof Bar, and only about 6 other people were in there. Take a look.
Yeah, this is awkward.
Yeah.
It's not what we thought it was going to be, or what anybody thought it was going to be. There are 6 people here at Tin Roof. We made the trip down here to Nashville for the SEC tournament, and we've been doing tons of work leading up to it, and we were so excited, and then we got the news just like you did just a few hours ago. We didn't have time to obviously get back to Lexington to do our show, so we thought, let's throw on some hand sanitizer and do the dang thing.
And so we did the dang thing.